welcome to my channel. Welcome to today's video. Today's video, I'm going to be trying some new luxury makeup. So most notably, I have the new Gucci concealer. I talked about this in my Will I Buy It? And of course, the day that I posted was the day that it launched. So I did pick this up. I'm gonna apply this with you together and just do a first impression. And then the other things I purchased a little bit ago, but I have yet to do a video, so I thought I would throw it in today. And that is the Chanel Fall Winter collection. I have the blush, one of the blushes, as well as one of the eyeshadow quads. So if that all sounds good to you, make sure you give this video a thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't yet, but now I'm just gonna pull you in a little bit closer and get trying and doing a first impression on these products. Now that I have you in closer, let's first start with the concealer because I feel like that's what everyone is going to be more curious about. Here is the box. It does retail for $47, and that's $10 more than they quoted on the Trend Mood website or whatever Instagram I saw, but that's okay. And it comes in 40 shades. I did order it directly from the Gucci website and it came in this little canvas bag. I don't know if that's interesting to you. I don't know what I'm gonna do with this, but it did come with that. And then this is the box. So I got the shade 17W, which is considered a fair shade. You know, the swatches weren't great on the Gucci website. Here is what the component looks like. This is my first Gucci product. I have not tried the bronzer, I've not tried the blush, the foundation. I've really been wanting to, but of course, this is more of a pricey brand. And the concealer, I don't know. I've been testing a lot of concealers lately and it's been getting me, but I do love like all the details on this. And I'm gonna do a quick swatch for you on the back of my hand. So here is what 17W looks like. And it doesn't look that warm to me. I normally don't pick up warm shades. So like I said, the website was a little, there was left to be desired as far as the swatch photos. And then the doe foot, you know, a little unimpressed. It's kind of just like a very standard, almost cheap drugstore doe foot. I feel like they could have done better with that. So the claims on this concealer is it's supposed to be a lightweight second skin finish and it's supposed to be long wearing with a natural blurred finish. That leads me to believe that it's supposed to be more of a natural matte, a semi-matte. It doesn't claim to be radiant anywhere. I do prefer that in a concealer. I don't like a really hydrating radiant concealer where like the light bounces off. So I'm hoping that this works out for me. But I am just going to test it out. I, of course, already have my foundation, brows on. I actually just decided to use my Chanel Beige foundation. Everything that I'm wearing is always listed in the description box below, but that's part of my project pan. And since we're doing some Chanel products, I thought it was fitting. So let's just stop talking and get to trying this. I am hoping that this works for me. It seems like it's gonna be light, but not too bad. And I think I decided I want to do a sponge on one side and a brush on the other. So I'm gonna start with the sponge side. It's blending quite well. I don't suffer from really creases under my eyes. I mostly suffer from dark circles. And I did try to make sure when I did my foundation, I didn't go up too high just to make sure we could see how this concealer works. And so far it's blending really nice. Of course, with the sponge, it usually does. I would say it is a medium finish. You can still see some darkness poking through. Probably the next time I try this, I would use a color corrector. I'm gonna go in with just a tiny bit more right there on my darkness and just see how that blends out a little bit more concentrated right there in that like crevasse of darkness that I have. It's not necessarily sallow in there, just dark because I don't sleep. It is looking brighter on camera. I think the shade's okay though. especially going into winter. I'll get a little bit lighter. So there is the sponge side. I think it looks nice. I'm gonna now go in to the brush side and just see if that makes a difference. I'm gonna be honest, I don't usually ever use a brush, but it does say on the Gucci website that you can use your fingers, a sponge, a brush, whatever you want to blend this out. It's very versatile. It's not actually bad with a brush. I love when I say something and then I just completely take it back. With the brush, of course, it's gonna soak up less product, so I feel like it's covering my dark circles much better than the sponge side. Like you can just see the shadow, and then here you can't really, so maybe I do like the brush side more. I do. That took a turn. I think I'm just trying to see that it's like blended. I think I'm just gonna very lightly try and press it into the skin because it's just looking a little bit heavy for me. That's much better. And I barely tapped into it. So sponge side, brush side. Now, I've been debating all morning if I want to use a powder on this concealer because I do normally set down. I think I'm going to. I think I'm gonna only put powder on the brush side just so we can see by the end of the video. I'll do like a little first impression check-in. It'll only be, 15 minutes or so, but we'll see if powder has any kind of reaction because normally I do powder. This is just my little mini by Terry powder that I also have in Project Pan that I'm trying to use up. And I just use a very wispy brush and pat down here. So let's see if the powder makes a difference at all. I think it blurred it more. I would say it was already blurring, just like they claimed, but I prefer setting down my concealer. I know not everyone likes that, especially if you have creases. That's where the problem comes in with powder. It can be very particular, but for me, since I don't really have too many creases, I do like it better with powder. It just kind of brought the concealer and foundation together. I don't powder this foundation because it is pretty matte and self-setting. And then as far as the finish of this, I would say, yeah, it's a natural matte finish. It doesn't really have too much glow, maybe just a little, but it does look really nice so far. I am impressed. Let's now move on to the Chanel products, test that out, and then I'll do a check-in on the concealer after. I think first I want to go in with the blush. Now, originally I wasn't gonna pick up this collection, I'm gonna be honest, but then I made the mistake of watching a video and of course it just suckered me in, especially with it being limited edition. So this blush comes in 2 shades and I got the beige and coral, which looks like this, retails for $65. And the other one just seemed much more cool. It was like a plum color. And what really got me is I just thought this was a, two-toned blush, but if you look really closely, I took a close-up video. There's like a flower imprint on this. It's just really pretty. I'm completely about to ruin this embossing. It's not gonna stop me from using it, but it is very beautiful. So I'm just gonna go in, I think, directly with this. There's nothing else to say other than the price and how many shades. Here's kind of what it looks like on the brush here. So it does pick up and it's not, swirling and becoming one shade. It is staying pretty much like you can see the embossing still. The CC is not blending with the coral part. I have no bronzer on. I figured just have this. And this is kind of like a blush bronzer shade anyways. I think you could get away with just having this on your cheeks. I'm adding a second layer here just because I want it a little bit brighter, but it is very pretty. You could really, I think this could be very versatile. Like I said, you could wear just the blush on like a very light makeup day, not go in with a bronzer. minimal, just like spot concealing, and it would just give you some blush and bronzer at the same time. This is a really pretty color. I'm gonna quickly go in on this side. Is it worth $65? You know, probably not, but it is Chanel and it is luxury. So if you feel like dropping that price tag, I don't think this is like a special enough formula to say like run out and get this, but actually I'm glad that I have this. This is really pretty. Quickly add just a little bit to the nose, and then I'm gonna go on to the eyeshadow quad. There we go. As for the eyeshadow quad, this collection looked so beautiful. I think Chanel did a really great job. This is the Byzance collection, and it has like this gold backing. Byzance is French for opulence, and I think that they really capture that. I only picked up one because, like I said, I originally was gonna pass on this collection. I did want this eyeshadow palette, but then I was like, no, I don't need it. And then I ended up caving, but I limited myself to one. There's 4 different shades, and I got the shade, the most neutral, Parure Cristal. So this is what it looks like. Again, I'll have some close-up photos and some swatches just inserted on the side, but I'm gonna just do like a really quick eye look with this. There's not much to this quad. It's fairly neutral. I think that I'm going to just take this shade here. They're all satins, none of these are mattes. I'm gonna put this all over the lid, deepen up the outer corner, maybe do like some liner with this deep dark brown, spotlight like the center of my lid with this shade, and then use this shade here for the inner corner. I think this shade is kind of unique to Chanel. I'm not like a Chanel connoisseur, but I don't really see like too many of these iridescent kind of shades in their eyeshadow palettes. So that's what I'm gonna do. I have no primer on, and it is very hard pressed, just like all Chanel formulas. It's kind of more of a baked formula, but it does lay down okay. It's not gonna give you the most pigment. It's not meant to. Just gonna see if we can do a quick, simple eye look. I do like when Chanel does like limited edition releases or special collections that are every day. Sometimes guess I'm thinking of like Dior specifically. They do like these color quads, color quints, because theirs are 5 shadows. And sometimes they just have brighter colors than I think like their average consumer goes for. And I think people only pick them up more for the collection aspect of it, less for their usefulness. Not that they don't work, but I think that their demographic doesn't really go for that, and they're only picking it up if they're a Dior fan. Whereas with Chanel, like I like the fact that with this one, with the Tweed collection, like they're actually color stories I can see myself using on an everyday basis, not just for a special occasion. So that first shade is really pretty. It's just your standard kind of light pinky mauve. I think next I'm going to deepen up the outer corner first with that dark brown. Just add a little bit of depth. If you wanted like more of a daytime look, you could absolutely skip this step, but Chanel's formula is so light that I think you could still wear this in the daytime. That blended absolutely like a dream. I'm gonna go in first with that inner corner shade before I use that bright shade. Just pop this in there, because for the spotlight shade, I think I just want to use my finger. So now I'm just gonna go in. It's very light. This is probably my least favorite shade. I'm just gonna tap it in. I would just wish it had like a little bit more sparkle. But it does at least add a little bit of brightness compared to this shade here. So this is pretty much the eye look. I'm gonna go in and maybe just add that dark brown to the lower lash line. I don't want to add too much since we're using the concealer. I'm going to also just smudge this up on the upper lash line. This is the completed eye look. You know, there's just something soft and sophisticated about all Chanel quads. I really like this look. Again, like, is it super special? No, but I love like it's just like the softness. That's how I can best describe it. I am now going to just add some mascara, maybe throw like a lip gloss on, and then I'll be back to just kind of wrap up my first impression thoughts, and we will also check in on this concealer. Let's quickly just recap these products. And now that I have mascara and lips on, I'm gonna go backwards, start with the eyeshadow quad since that's what we last did. It's beautiful. I love this look. Like I said, this is probably my least favorite shade. I feel like these two are pretty similar to each other, and I like this shade a little bit more, but there are 4 color stories. There's some brighter ones. There's one with a green, I think, if you're more into that. So I really wanted like this just soft, ethereal look, and I think that I got it. I love the gold here. You know, it's not metal, obviously, but it does look luxury enough where I'm okay with it. It doesn't feel cheap. So I'm happy with this. $70 for a quad. This is just where I struggle with like these luxury videos because of course, you know, money's relative and you spend your money how you want. I can only just tell you if it's good or not. I think that it's really good. If it's worth the $70, that's up to you. The blush is also nice. Like, I hate it when companies don't do like a thoughtful limited edition collection, and I feel like Chanel's really nailing it with their limited edition collections. So I don't feel like I wasted my money with this. This is $65, the quad is $70. So if you're deciding between the two, you know, the blush is a little bit less expensive and it is also very beautiful. I like how this looks on my skin. I think that I look really nice today, especially considering that I have like a more medium coverage foundation. I don't feel like any of this looks too heavy on. I really like this and I'll continue to use it. I don't like it enough to pick up the other shade in this blush, but I do like this quad enough to maybe take a second look at the other color stories. And for the concealer, you know, I'm pretty impressed. I now think I need to check out other Gucci products. I've been hearing people rave about them, but I'm very impressed by this concealer. I do not mean this in like a negative way, but it is just a good, solid, basic concealer. I think that it's gonna fit a lot of skin types. Here it is again, I'm gonna take my glasses off, but here it is on the sponge side, and this does have powder, and then on this side, I use the brush with no powder. Personally, it's only been 15 minutes, but I do prefer the side with powder. I don't know how it wears down. I will, of course, be testing this out multiple times, and I do plan on actually doing a concealer roundup video because I have about 10 concealers that I have just kind of sitting there that I've been testing. Flower Beauty, Natasha Denona, Tom Ford. I have a lot of concealers. So this was like the last one, and then I'm gonna gather all my just data together and film a video. So make sure you're subscribed for that. But I do think that I just prefer it powdered, and I prefer it with the brush. Surprisingly, that rarely ever happens, but I can see people, if you don't like to powder your under eyes, I don't think that this looks bad. I think you'll like it. I just feel sticky under there, and I like that extra grip, really. So that's why I prefer the powder, but both sides look really nice. The powder just really smooths it a smidge more, but I think even on camera, you can't tell that much of a difference between the two. Only the fact that the brush side added a little bit better coverage. So that's my thoughts on the concealer. I'm excited to continue to test this. Like I said, I have just like a whole arsenal of concealers, and this one might be my favorite out of those. It's a little early to tell, but I've been testing those ones, some of them, for quite a long time. And this one's impressing me the most just on first impressions. So I'm excited to just continue to try this one out. $47 for concealer is expensive. Does this beat my Givenchy? That's my #1 all-time concealer. No, and that one's less expensive, but at least Gucci you can get on the Sephora website, and you can use, during one of their holiday sales, get a little bit of a discount. So that is a pro compared to like the Chanel. You can't do that. I don't think you could really ever kind of get a discount on this, rarely. So those are just my thoughts on these products. You'll have to let me know down below. All of these are still available for purchase. So even though the Chanel is limited edition, it's still available on the Chanel website. That's where I personally purchased it. But let me know if you plan on picking these up, if they're on your wish list, if you are just not interested in them at all. I know Gucci's a little late to the game on the concealer front because, like I said, a whole bunch of new concealers already that have released. So maybe you're just concealered out. But I'd love to hear your thoughts down below in the comments. That's where I'm going to leave you all, though. I hope you're having a great one, and I will see you in my next video. Bye, everyone.